Okay, so let's take a look at how we can explore color and blending color with colored pencils. We are going to use just these 3 colors from your 12 color set to start with, and with those colors you're going to blend this long thick bar of colors. This one was done in the sketchbook. We're also going to do one on some Bristol boards so you can see what it looks like a little smoother. Now, we want to see the colors, but we don't need to fill the entire page. And color pencils can be quite time consuming, so we're just going to do some smaller areas. My suggestion would be to just take a ruler and mark off maybe the width of that ruler to give yourself a gradient to work with. And then we need 12 spaces, so conveniently, if you have an inch ruler to work with, you can mark those increments and give yourself some guidelines for that blending. Now, we're going to refrain from actually drawing the lines all the way across so that you can be a little more gradual in how you blend the colors together, but that will give you some fairly even increments to work with. My suggestion would be you work from one range to the next. So I'm going to start with my yellow here. Let me see if I can do this way so it is that way for you. And then we're going to need a if I do this. Nope. Yellow orange, and an orange, and a red orange, and a red, and then a red violet, a violet, a blue violet, a blue, blue green, green, and a yellow green. So that's where I'm headed with my colors. All right, so when you start, you should start with nice even strokes. We want to have the color smooth across the area, and we don't need to press very hard, but we do want to get some color down on the page. The yellow, I know I'm going to want fairly dense and representing both a very vibrant yellow and a slightly lighter one, so I know I'm going to do that. I'm then going to go a little bit lighter down in terms of pressure down into the rest of the colors that contain some yellow. So that's all of these 3 orange sections, right? And again, I want to make that fairly even tone all the way across, but you can see I'm leaving quite a bit of white beneath that. Then, before I do too much else, I'm going to take my red, and I'm going to start here with my red for now. And I'm going to make my pure red tone here, and maybe go back over that so it's a little bit denser. Gives me sort of a starting point, and I can go in and be a little more particular with my edges if I want to. It's a little easier to see with the red than the yellow. So depending on how you want to do that, but consistent with your tone across the block. And we'll be adding to that as well. And then very, very lightly, you're going to go back over the yellows in those orange areas, recognizing the tones that you want to be achieving as you layer and blend all the way through. Okay. I'm going to come back through here really gently, just making sure that's as even as it can be. And then I'm going to go back to my yellow. And again, I'm going to blend my yellow down, pressing a little bit harder as I go here, recognizing that the yellow is going to make that slightly orangier. And you can sort of see the difference between the slightly more vibrant color where it's got the one extra layer of yellow and where we started. All right, so we're just going to layer up that tone, that hue, as we go. Now, again, I'm going to start from red on this side and work my way back through gently, gently, gently. I don't want to press down too hard. I want to be able to see all the yellow and the layers up through, working my way back. And this time I'm going to stop here. I don't know that I'm going to add too much more red to my yellow-orange. Maybe a hint, super light. I'm just deciding how much of a gradient I want there. Maybe I want that to blend a little more smoothly through here. Then we can go back and one more time. And again, this time I do a little bit on the orange here, and maybe not, maybe super lightly on the red-orange. Just a hint, a little more there. And again, another solid layer of yellow over the yellow-orange. So you can see where this is headed. One of the things to note is that we'll have still have some paper showing through. This is all, I'm just going one direction. If you want to start to fill that in and you want to head back in the other direction, this will start to fill in the pieces of paper that perhaps had not gotten that coverage yet. Also, we talked earlier when we were using some of the sketchbook paper, which is more textured. In order to get pencil to fill that in, you want to make sure that you have maybe a sharp point, and then you can angle down a little bit more, and that sharp point will ride into whatever texture crevices there are in the paper, and you can see how much more densely the color then can be applied. So go ahead and do that all the way across. Let's make the red a little bit denser there as well. There we go. Have it this way. And I may do part of this with a little more pressure. And again, we can see the vibrancy and we can see the density of the color on the paper. There you go. And we can start to do that a bit here. We don't want that to become too red though, so remember to go in and be blending as you go with the yellow as necessary. And again, I think our orange can probably have a little more red in it. And you can see the subtleties of your tonal, your hue changes as you go and adjust accordingly, right? Okay. So you can see it's that combination of layer of color over color over color and doing a section between two primary colors at once and then moving perhaps down to the next, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the red all the way down and then work the blue back up through the violets, and you will have a range of colors to work with there. Remember that a little bit of patience goes a long way, and some of the smaller strokes will give you more coverage in over the paper, and you want to keep your strokes close to each other. Layering in, you can try some diagonals, do some cross hatching, but you're going to hopefully have a more even color range than seeing the lines that you might have with the cross hatching the way we were with the ink in the past. So that's your plan. Now, once you have all of these done, then you can go back to these additional colors, okay? Again, these are not going to go into the major part of your blend. These are going on the outside, so we can sort of see where these might fall in terms of color range. We have this orange is the pencil orange, and you can see it's not too far off. Maybe it's a little bit closer to our yellow orange than our orange, right? So we can make a fairly long example of that and how that falls in. And then what you can do is make that blend right up there. Just a little bit. And then you can take a little bit of the red and put that over the top, and you can see how that starts to change that just a little bit in terms of the hue of the orange that you're getting. And you could take that all the way down if you wanted to, but just to get some sense of what that range is and what a yellow-orange might be with the orange pencil instead of the red pencil, and what your options are for when you are using your colored pencils in your final piece. Similarly, as you work your way down and you're doing the greens, you will have a couple of greens to work with. So down here, you may have, this is the darker bluier green, some more options here. All right. And again, this is the quick version. You'll obviously take your time a little bit more with this. And this is the yellow green that you have in the pencil. And you can see how those blend together, whether they are blending with each other. Perhaps we can put a little bit here. You can see what kind of a green we get there in the middle as that transitions through the yellow green to a more vibrant green in the middle, and then down to the yellow green. All right. So these types of blends, this is what we're looking for. Then we have some sort of oddball colors. We have sort of the peach we can work with, and the peach may end up in here a little bit to start with. See what you can do with that for an orange. We have a pink. The pink ends up being an interesting combination when you start to look at it as a purpley pink. It's more of an orchid, right? And then what you can do with this to create some different purple options, both with the darker blue pencil that you've been using or will have been using on this area, but then also with this blue where we have a slightly different range, and you'll end up with some slightly different purples that can be obtained with this blend, or the blend here with this blue and this red. And also when you're looking at this blue with the green, I can play a little bit in here, versus say this blue with the green, if we wanted to sort of give ourselves some additional blue-green options in this range as well. So primarily you'll be doing your full rainbow blend here, full spectrum, playing with the additional colors here just to see what you have to work with. Remember that you do have a brown that makes for some interesting muted tones. So if we were going to tone something down a little bit, get the muted version of it a little bit, we could do that. We can also have a black that we can work with. We're not going to use it that much. You can create some shadows with that, but it's much more fun to go in with a dark blue to create your shadows. But you might want to see what black that looks like. And then we also have, it's not exactly a neutral, but another yellow that's more like yellow ochre, so it's a little bit toned down. It's got a little bit of green in it. And that's another color that we can play with, and we can see how that both is similar to and different from the yellow-green that we have here. So a couple of similarities and differences to play with that are a little more subtle. So go ahead and do this and these blends and have a sense of what your full range of color is for your palette as we move into the final project with both your color wheel with watercolor and also now with color pencil.